Not much of an introduction, but it's okay. Yeah, the most holy, high reverend.
Oh, dear.
Well, if you'd wear something different, I think.
Oh, okay. It's the festive sweater. That's what nobody likes to call me reverend with this on. Please, though, don't call me reverend. That's a title, in honesty, that's only meant for God to have that title, reverend. Let's look at James chapter 4, verse 13.
4? Oh.
Come on, isn't this Calvary Chapel?
Go with it now.
James chapter 4, verse 13.
I heard that.
Because if you ever let anyone just read a con to you and not the text, you'll be left with a con. Always take things in context. Otherwise, you're only left with a con without the text. So that's what we're getting, is the text before. And maybe we'll go right into 1 Peter after, too. No. But James chapter 4, verse 13, just to kind of give us a refresher. It says, "Go to now, or come now, ye that would say, today or tomorrow we will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain. Whereas you don't know what shall be on tomorrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time. And then," where I got my title today, "vanishes away. For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live, and do this, or do that. But now ye rejoice in your boasting. All such rejoicing is evil. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good, and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. They cry out, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth, and have been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you." Tell us what you really mean, James. Right? This is not any just kind of positive, uplifting, encouraging message. In fact, James, the book of James, people have a hard time with the book of James. And I think one of the reasons is we as believers in the New Covenant, the New Testament, we don't like Old Testament stuff. Our flesh doesn't like to go back and read through some of it because it's harsh. But we have a tendency to forget the faith that works. And that's what James is all about. It's showing people that I believe in God, in a living God, by my actions. So if I have a lot, I'm not going to keep that all for myself. That's what this whole first section is about. And I think what we need to make clear, and what a lot of us kind of fail to do, I think we're so careful, and we hear a lot about grace. We preach a lot about grace. But we're so careful that we don't start getting into good works or a works-based salvation, that we miss the beauty or the intention that God had with obedience. And how it's really, Romans 1:5 talks about us obeying by grace. We've been given grace for obedience unto apostleship, that we would be obedient by grace. We're not saved by grace so that we can go out and party. Unfortunately, that's the reputation that many in today's society, many Christians have. Many Christians are confused about money and riches. What does it mean and some would read these first 6 verses of James 5 and think, man, you better not be rich. You better not have any money, because apparently it's bad. And that's not at all what James is saying. In fact, Abraham was one of the wealthiest men of his day. Back in Genesis, Abraham had somewhere around 318 servants. Do you have servants? Do you know anyone that has servants? No, he was a wealthy man. Job was another man. We're going to get back to Job in a bit at the end of this chapter, if Lord willing we make it there. But Joseph of Arimathea, Philemon, Barnabas even was a wealthy. These were all wealthy men with a lot of things. God used them in ways that only God can. It's not necessarily the fact that these men were rich that they should howl, that their miseries would come upon them, verse 1. It's not the fact that they were rich, it's that their riches, verse 2, their riches are corrupt. It's the way that they went about getting these riches, which we're not told about, but it's dishonest. It's really stepping all over other people so that you can get gain. Ruining people's reputation and not caring so that you can get further in whatever business it is. These riches, this money, what James is getting at, it's not worth it. It's empty. It's vanishing. They're vanishing riches. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 5. Another spot where you might just jot that down. I almost should write that next to that. People see vanishing riches. You can go to Proverbs 23, verse 5, and see, and you're probably familiar with this, but wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? I love Proverbs 23. Will you look at something that's not there? Well, you're going to set your eyes on that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings, and they fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Proverbs 23:5. That's one to mark down next to James 5. Before you know it, the money is all spent up. I'm preaching to the choir after Christmas, right? Before you know it, everything's gone. It's amazing just how God has us going through the Bible. We never know where we're going to be, but it touches at the perfect time, after Christmas. We're talking about this stuff. And it's the Holy Spirit. It's the way that God planned it. I didn't plan it. Also, Solomon is not the only one. In Psalm chapter 62, this is another one to jot down. Psalm 62, verse 10. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase and your bank account gets bigger, set not your heart upon them. Do not find yourself wishing you would win the lottery. It's very worldly, the mindset. I had friends growing up, they would put little scratchers in their stockings. They'd have them full of scratchers to scratch off and find out, oh, you won $10 here, you won $100 there. It's silly and it's worldly. It's the whole idea of, that's talk about setting your eyes on something that's not even there. You're wishing, you're finding yourself dreaming of winning the lottery, dreaming of becoming this rich person. And for what? It appeareth, back in James 4, verse 14, it's just here for a little time. It appears for just a little time and then vanishes away. Your life is like that. Not just riches, not just the money. It's really showing us what our life is like. Before you know it, the kids are gone, they're out. But don't think that there's anything wrong with saving. We can save money. Also, though, before I move on, it's interesting that he says, your riches are corrupt in verse 2, and your garments are moth-eaten, and then verse 3, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them. You might just jot down Matthew 6:19. Remember, the writer of this little epistle is James, the half-brother of Jesus. And Jesus in Matthew 6:19 said, store up not for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and rust corrupts and destroys. You think it's just coincidence? No, James knew his brother. James knew Jesus. He had a relationship with him. And it comes out there in verses 2 and 3, kind of in a beautiful way there. But also another side note about these riches and about just having the mindset. A few pages back in 1 Timothy chapter 6. This is a great, and I'll say it again, I think I've said it every week. The best commentary on the Bible is the Bible. And that's what this 1 Timothy 6, beginning at verse 6, going all the way down to, you could go down to 19, but we'll see how far we make it. 1 Timothy 6, verse 6, godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and clothing, let us be therewith content. Verse 9, 1 Timothy 6, 9. But they that will be rich, they fall into temptation and snares or traps, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. Now you just might want to circle and underline, for the love. The love of money is the root of all evil. Money is not evil. Money is not good. Money is neutral. Just like food. Food is not evil. Food is not good. It's just neutral. You can abuse it. You can love it and have a love for food. You can have a love for money, and it's not right. It becomes the root of all kinds of evil. Or it can also be a root of all evil. It's not just this specific thing of money. But the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. We'll stop there, but just to give you a reason why James is being so intense in these first 6 verses of James chapter 5. It's because of what it can cause. It can cause you to err from the faith, to fall away, and you're going to end up hurting yourself. And it's just not worth it. But with that said, I was going here before, there's nothing wrong with saving. In fact, in that one chapter back, we were just at 1 Timothy 6. In 1 Timothy 5, verse 8, it's another good one to jot down. There's nothing wrong. In fact, 1 Timothy 5, 8, if anyone provide not for his own, and specifically for his children, for his wife, for his own house, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. 1 Timothy 5:8. So there's a call to provision. There's a call to save, to provide. But as we read in other places, Lord, don't give me so much that I forget about you, but also don't give me so little that I find myself stealing and coveting everyone else's stuff. But I will say this is very important too. It is wrong to store up or to save while you owe money to others. Now this is huge in our culture of debt. Pay off your debts before you start saving money for the kids, for the college fund, whatever it is. Have your debts paid off. Don't owe people money. And that's, again, it's a scriptural concept. It's not like I'm giving you financial advice. It's what the Scripture teaches. Do not owe